Hello everyone. Some of you might wonder why a Turkish guy making an English presentation. I believe Devfest is an international conference and everyone should benefit the information. And since we will publish this recording afterwards on the YouTube channel, I thought it will be more beneficial for more people in the future. So today's topic will be make everyone use your design left and right. It's a bit of a controversial name. Most of you might think designing an app in general that can be used for everyone, but this is going to be a bit more specific than you thought. Today's session is going to be very special for me because this is the first time that I wear the blue shirt only in Devfest. After being an organizer for 9 years, this year I'm coming back as a speaker, and I really appreciate the effort of the team for making that happen for this year as well. So since it's a special presentation, I'm gonna be as cool as possible and try to make fun of myself and my designs as well. Like he mentioned, I work at Backbase. I'm a UX designer / consultant. At Backbase, we are helping banks all around the world to design better products for their customers. All right, let's start with a question. How many of you have an existing app or a product? Can I see the hands? All right. How many of you supports different languages in your app? All right. Are they mostly Latin, or do you also have Eastern languages like Arabic, Hebrew, Farsi? Yeah? Arabic? 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 Wonderful. So most probably you encounter some of the problems I faced in the last couple of months. So this session will start sharing some facts about right-to-left languages or bidirectional languages. So there are like 15 right-to-left languages in the world. The most popular one is Arabic. There is like almost 500,000 people speaking in Arabic. And it's the second biggest type system. So it's kind of the flagship of the right-to-left languages. The second one is Persian, and then following Hebrew. And we have Urdu, Fula, Pashto, Kashmiri. I know some of you just hearing those names right now. But yeah, there's all Yiddish, Malay, Sindhi, Rohingya. So there are a lot of languages that we write from right to left. Another fact, Arabic is the 4th most popular language in the world, considering all those Arabic speakers. But there is only 5% of content online in Arabic. That's my mom, by the way, just thank you. So there's only 5% Arabic content on the internet, but 60% of the Arabic speakers would love to see more content online. So are you curious now? Because that means a lot of money. All right, this is a Latin alphabet. So it starts with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There is a Turkish song starting with that one as well. And then we have another alphabet that some of you might not be familiar with. So while talking with letters and alphabets, let's learn some new facts. So in English, we have 26 letters, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But in Arabic, we have 28 letters. So we have 2 more letters. In Turkish, we have 29, even though they are Latin alphabet. In Urdu, there are 40 letters in their alphabet. In Persian, there are 32 letters. So we have extra letters that we don't know how to represent in English. So when you try to implement a right-to-left language, you encounter with some problems on that one as well. But let's clarify what is left to right and right to left. So Latin alphabets, or most of the, let's say, Western languages are written and read from left to right, like in Turkish. We start reading from left, we start writing from left. In Arabic and other RTL languages, they start from right and they write to the left. Or they start reading from right and ending in the left. So, as an example, while we are typing our text like this, they are typing their texts like this. So they start from right to the left. So, this is itself a major problem, right? Most of us are not familiar with that usage. Most of us don't know how to start writing from right to left. Well, then how we can design? How we can design our apps or products for that? We will deep dive each of those topics. We will start with layout and navigation and see how to mirror certain UI elements and how to leverage them in the best way possible. We will see some typography and text formatting specifics and examples to learn the tips and tricks about writing in right-to-left languages. We will focus on numbers and characters, which is so much fun. And at the end, we will be dealing with some icons that going to question our ideas, should we flip them or not? So let's start with layout and navigation. All right, the first step is mirroring our design. So mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? So the user interface for right-to-left languages should be flipped from left to right. So we're going to mirror our designs. But how are we going to do it? Since that's a Google Developers Group conference, I took some examples from Material Design Library. You can find similar components and contents in Apple's human interface guidelines as well. But let's start with the basics. Let's say you have a navigation drawer. So on the left, you see a standard navigation drawer that we all know, right? Everything aligned to left, the icons on the left, the text following it, and on the very right side, we have the notifications or other informative texts, because this is how we classify or structure information as LTR people. We have the logo on top, and title is following that. And it's a pretty straightforward layout. But once you flip it, once you mirror the design, then your icons goes all the way to the right, because that part is the first part they start reading. So the icon is very first thing we see on the left, right? We see the icon and we read the text. It's the same for the Arabic people or Persian people as well. Just side note, I don't know what it says. Fortunately, I don't speak any of those right-to-left languages, but in the presentation, you'll see some Persian, you'll see some Arabic, so I just mixed them. So that's actually going to be like, Easter egg. So if you can catch, please raise your hand. Let's follow. So for a right to left person, the icon should be on the right, because this is going to be the very first thing they start focusing on. It's the same for top bar as well. Sorry, the camera guy, I know I move a lot. So for a top bar, the back button is on the left. This is how we use. We have the title on the left, and the secondary action buttons are placed on the right by their priorities. But there is one thing. We put the most important icon on the rightest part of the design. So when we start putting those action icons or action buttons, we start from adding right to left. That's a different behavior. When we flip that, that's going to be almost the same. So instead of a back showing the left, we're going to put a back showing the right. So the icon is going to change. The title is going to start from right to left. The navigation icons following that. So the most important icon will go to further left, and the other is going to follow it. It's same for the navigation bar. One thing, we didn't do anything for the one in the middle, because in general, we don't change the text layout or icons if they are placed in the middle, because they are already centered. Let's go a bit more complicated. So on the left, you see two cards. One of them is left to right, and the other one is right to left. So we have a profile icon, we have the header and subhead, and on the right-hand side of the card, we have a star icon that gives us the opportunity to rate it. Following that, we have the title and subhead, and then the description text, and two action buttons. So when we flip that design, the star icon is going to go left, because that's going to be the secondary action on the card. And profile icon goes further right, because we want them to read it first, right? See it first. And the header and the subheader are going to follow the profile icon. And it follows the same. But most of the time, we don't touch the image itself. We will cover that later on. It's same for the dialogues as well. There is actually a trick on the dialogue. The dialogue title starts from right, the description text starts from right, and also they are right aligned instead of left aligned. So we are right aligning the text so they can follow the same ending point for the text. All right, tricky ones, inputs. So in a standard input, you generally have a rectangle, a text, and if you make it a bit fancier, you add an icon on the left or on the right, or if you want to go crazy, you add icons on both sides. And generally, you have a description text or an error message that you need to follow. So in that case, the label goes all the way to the right, the search goes all the way to the right, but we didn't change the direction of the magnifier. We got the close icon. Since it's a bidirectional icon, we didn't convert it as well, because even though if you flip, it's going to stay the same. For the controllers, they work reverse. So to turn on a switch, instead of swiping to the right, you swipe it to the left, because that's the main action for them. It follows for the segmented controllers or tabs on Android. So the main tab is going to be on the farther right side. So it's going to start from right and follows to the left. Buttons. So if you only have one text and it's central, you don't need to do anything. You just replace the text. If you have an icon on the button, they just switch places. If you have two icons in the button, then you change the icons. And if it's necessary, you change the direction of the icon as well. Chips are quite easy, just flip it. Chips with drop-down options, they also need to change the icon placement. List views are tricky. You see we have a left to right chip, list view on the left, which is actually closed now. And we have a right to left version, which is also closed. But for us, for LTR people, the one on the right is turned on, right? The one on the left is turned off. But both of them are turned off. It's same for the images, it's same for the icons, and it's same for the initials. But when it comes, for example, you cannot mirror a B inside that icon. So you have to keep the letters on the same direction. On the right, we have the progress indicators. So on the left, it starts from left to right and filling the progress indicator from left to right. And on the right, you see it starts from right and filling to the left. For us, it's like going backwards on a registration flow. All right, we saw some simple UI elements. Some of them are more complex, like calendars. If we were going to focus on calendars, we would just lose 25 minutes just for calendars. So that's going to be really interesting. Typography and text formatting. So the first thing, like she said, if you're going to use a ridiculous font, no one ever thinks you have a plan. So first thing is selecting an RTL compatible font. But how are we going to do it? Well, fortunately, San Francisco of Apple supports RTL. Roboto for Android supports RTL. And for spiders, for web developers, many of the Google fonts supports RTL. So you can start from there. But what's going to happen after we select our font for the upcoming designs? After finding an RTL compatible font, you need to make sure it's well tested. What I mean is, you need to test your font for legibility, accessibility, and breaking point compatibility. Because in general, we will discuss that later on as well, but Arabic letters are smaller than Latin letters. So their breaking points are different than Latin letters. One last thing for testing your font, which is, as you should do with all fonts you choose, focusing on imposters, mirroring, and discernibility. For example, this font I use, Libre Baskerville. It's a terrible font for imposters, but that was the Devfest branding, so I just added into my presentation. It was good for mirroring, but for discernibility, we had a lot of issues. I helped the team a bit for the designs, so I can confirm that. All right, we choose the font, we test it. Now, what we're going to do with? First, if you don't want to be that guy, you should avoid using italic and bold texts, because italic and bold text are quite confusing for Arabic. And do you have italic on Arabic? Yeah, sure. All right. Bold text will be extremely difficult to read in most RTL languages. Modern fonts are going a bit easy on them nowadays, but yeah, that's been a problem for the last 10-15 years. Italic text is not so common. I've seen some examples, but it just makes things harder, especially someone like me. Also, capital letters are almost disregarded. So there are almost no capital letters in RTL languages. So if you want to emphasize a text, instead of making it bold or all captions, you just use an overline, because most of the RTL languages depend on dots and symbols in the language, and most of them are placed in the below. So if you put underline, you're going to cut that line. So you should use an overline for that. I have a comparison table. So this is a really, I don't know, just an example text. I see in your face you hated it. So on the left, we see text formatting. We have bold, regular, italic, and capital letters. So after the bold one, to me, they're all the same. They all look like the same because they are all the same. So in this example, the regular is regular. We are good on that, but we don't have a capital A. In italic, the Latin text, the left to right one is italic, but I don't see any visual representation on that one on the right. For capital letters, well, those look quite identical. So for that example, apart from the bold one, there is actually no difference between italic, capital letters, and regular ones. So that's why we try to just sometimes avoid, sometimes totally ignore. All right, attention. Font weight and height are also quite important. Because like I said, in general, the letters of especially the Arabic alphabet, differ in width from those of the Latin alphabet. So they are shorter and narrower, and that creates a visual difference, but still better than German. One more thing, especially for your navigation menus, input fields, where there's a possibility that your text might be tricky, you should test it a couple of times. It's also important for converting your existing app for another Latin language as well. I had a perfect looking, English UI. When I added the German, when I added the French, when I added the Turkish, the words have different lengths. The words might have different meanings as well, so sometimes you just change it. In RTL, it's the same. Some of the words have longer, let's say, spaces. Some of them are narrower, so you always have to test it. It's not just flipping the UI. Therefore, try to leave some extra horizontal space when designing for RTL. And also make sure, like I said, text is always right aligned because it starts from right. Numbers and characters. Okay. So, did you know Arabic numbers are actually Indian? The thing is, the numbers that we use right now are Indian as well. So, the ancient Indians wrote everything from left to right, including the numbers. So they were writing their numbers from left to right as well. Let's see the story. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, someone who speaks Sanskrit tried to write 2022. So today we write it like 2022, right? But he wrote it as 2202 because they were also flipping the numbers. And Arabs adopted that number from Indians and changed the order to fit the RTL. So they mirrored the numbers and they made it suitable for their own language. But eventually we started using those numbers. So those numbers has been taken from by the Europeans and other Westerns and started to become the numbers that we use today. So if we were following the Indians, we had to write 2202 instead of 2022 or 2022. Let's deep dive more on that one. So this is a complex text, right? This is an Arabic text. I don't know what it says, but it's about Pantone and some colors. So what are the differences you see on this text? What catches your eye? One? Yep. Central. That's my fault. Just to make it fancier. What else? You're out of chance, man. You speak Arabic. Anyone? Yeah?
Latin and Arabic words on like.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have Latin and Arabic in the same sentence, and some of them are written from left to right, and the others from right to left. Do you have any idea why it's written like this? Because Pantone is a name. So it represents a brand. And we don't translate brand names in general. We don't write Adidas in Arabic. We don't write Nike in Arabic. So if I would put Adidas or Nike in here, it's going to be Adidas and Nike again. So when you're writing from right to left, if there is a name, you just don't convert it and write it as it is. There's also one more thing. I'm going to give you a clue. Anyone has an idea? No one? Yeah? Yes, the numbers. So, in Arabic, they have their own numbers as well. But most of the time, especially on digital designs, they don't use it. They prefer to use the Latin ones because they are quite, let's say, worldwide known. Think about your plate numbers. You have the Arabic numbers, and then you have the Latin numbers. So, when it comes to numbers, most of the time, not always, most of the time, we use the Latin numbers, or let's say, reverted Indian numbers. And for names, we just keep it as it is, and don't convert it or try to translate it in Arabic. Icons and visuals. All right, who wants to guess what's next? Who has an idea what we're going to discuss with icons? Any ideas? You love to talk, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Should the icons be put in?
Yes, that's going to be the question. The use of icons in RTL can be quite tricky because some of the icons must be mirrored, and the rest must remain as it is. So, first rule, when you design something, make sure the icons you use make sense. The first trick, if the icons are symmetrical and do not point a particular direction, you should not mirror those icons. All right? If they are not pointing a specific direction, or if they are symmetrical, you just don't mirror it. For example, profile or home icons. Just think about if a profile icon, it's just a face, right? Just a blank face. Even if you mirror it, it's just a blank face again. Or if you mirror a house, maybe the chimney will be on the other side, but it's again a house. So it represents the purpose. It's not as effective as in other examples. But icons that clearly point in a particular direction, on the other hand, should be mirrored. That means if you have a back button or arrows that shows a specific direction, you should mirror those. Well, icons that contains characters or words from non-RTL languages do not need to be mirrored. So if you have an icon with a square or a rectangle, and in the middle of that you have an A, you generally use it as it is. There are some examples that in sake of localization, they change the letter inside the icon as well, but it's not a must, like I said. So there is one more thing, especially for Arabic, if you are using an icon library that represents alcohol, or let's say pigs, you should be careful and try to avoid using those. I'm working on a banking app. We have a savings account. In the default product, one of the versions has a piggy bank icon on the product. We had to change it because it's haram. So, or in spending screens in a bank app, for example, if you have entertainment with a glass of wine icon, you should change it with a Sprite maybe. I put some examples for you. So let's go one by one. A calendar icon without any specific dates. I mirrored it, it looks the same. So I just don't mirror it. A back icon or back arrow that shows a specific direction. So I mirrored it. Now it shows the left. Profile icon, like I said, stays as it is because it's bidirectional. Home icon, stay as it is. But now that guy is going backwards because the cyclist was faced this way. And when we flip it, they need to go this way. So we change the direction of that poor guy. The plane icon. So instead of putting the cross on the other side, we just keep it as it is because it gives you the meaning, means no flights. and we converted the message bubble. So the conversation now starts from right to left because it points out a specific interaction or specific, direction. Well, what about images? Should we flip them? Any idea? Yeah? No? Okay. Oh, I made a typo on that one. So it depends. This is a screenshot from Amazon. And as you see, they actually mirrored Monopoly. It's not on the right-hand side, it's on the left-hand side. They didn't mirror the image itself because that would be so much funny. But they put the image on the left instead of putting on the right because they want us to read the text and see the image. So we read the text and see the image. But on the other hand, you don't need to do it for all images unless they are pointing out a specific direction. You all seen sign-up pages with a guy looking to the left and showing the form fields or campaign images. If you have a guy or girl looking to a specific direction, yes, you should mirror that one. But don't mirror the image itself. It's still so much funny. So try to find someone looking to the right. And the rest can stay as it is. It is not mandatory unless you are a very crazy graphic designer. Those people are quite interesting. All right. So we are so close to the end of this session, and I want to complete it with the help of you guys. We're going to design a screen together. I designed a completely new food app from scratch for this talk, and we will start putting some elements from this screen to the one on the right. All right, what should we do with the navigation bar on top? What are your suggestions? Come on, everyone. Yep. Right to left? Yeah, that's the purpose of the whole talk. Yay! All right, I'm going to help you on this one. We have a location icon on the left, right? Where should we put it? To the right. Yeah. Wish I did the reverse. To the left, to the left. We have the home and the address. What should we do with those? To the right. And we have an icon showing downwards, and that's going to be on the left. With one caveat, our status bar is changed as well, thanks to Apple. So if you look the direction of, especially for the cellular line icon, just change the direction. All right, next one, search. What we're going to do? Yep. All right, we're going to put it right, but what we're going to do with the magnifier icon? Should we flip it? All right, who says yes? All right, who says no? Well done. You learned your lesson. Since it's not showing its specific direction, we just keep it as it is. But we mirrored the location. Next up, categories. Burgers, pizza, sandwich. What we're going to do? Who said nothing? Yes. Except the heading, we're going to do nothing. Because they are already center aligned. So we don't need to change the direction. Because it's centered. The button is also centered, so we don't going to change the direction of that one as well. We just replace the text. Previous orders, that's a bit of a complicated component. Any idea? All right, I'm going to give you the hint. Previous orders goes to the right. What else? Should I flip the burger? No? All right, should I flip the title? Yes, what we're going to do with that green icon? Should we put it on the left or the right? Left. Okay. What about delicious text in here? It's going to be right. Spicy? Going to be left because there is nowhere. All right. 4.8 stars. What are we going to do with that one? Right? Well, you're right. It goes to the right, but I left an Easter egg. You recognize that? Yeah? The scroll direction changes as well, as you can see. It starts from left, and I'm scrolling to the right. It starts from right, and I'm scrolling to the left. So if you have a carousel, yeah, it works the other way. Well, the Easter egg was I didn't change the 4.8 stars. And you didn't tell me that. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session.